right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to She Did It web series. This is our first web series in 2020, and we have a great lineup of amazing women entrepreneurs that we will be presenting every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live. Today, I'm very excited to present to you Lisa Anna Palmer, who I met about 5 years ago when I was at a crossroad and trying to figure out what to do with my life. Lisa gave me the passion test, and my life was transformed from that day. Like Lisa, I'm also a passion test facilitator, and I have followed Lisa in her many endeavors since then. That is why today I'm so excited and honored to be interviewing her. So Lisa, let's start by you telling us about yourself.
Sure. And before I jump in, I just want to thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Karine, for creating this platform. I think this is a lot of fun. And I'm a really big believer in the She Did It movement. So thank you for having me here. And tonight, I guess I'm going to share how I did it or am doing it, right? Because it's a process for sure. So I'm the author of Light a Fire in Their Hearts, The Truth About Leadership, which launched yesterday. So I was very excited. Karine was the moderator and you were also there, and Diana helping out. So very grateful for that. And the work I do, in addition to writing about leadership, is that I'm a coach. I'm a leadership trainer as well. And passion test facilitator, as you mentioned, Joanne. So we're passion test sisters. And my biggest passion, my mission in life is to do my part to make the world a better workplace and to engage others in that movement. And in addition to that, or I guess more specifically, is to help people who are exploring their leadership or who are perhaps already in leadership roles to go within and to shift their mindset from, individual contributor or subject matter expert into great people leader. I believe that's the key to making workplaces better and to have healthier and more productive people at work, and essentially to make the world a better place, because work is such an important part of our lives.
Yes, it sure is. Like we spend a third of our days at work, and
at least.
Yes, we want to be happy and fulfilled in it. So you are wearing many hats right now and things like that. And I know that you were in the corporate world before. So how did you know that you were destined to become an entrepreneur?
I love that question, because honestly, I think it's in my genes. It's in my blood, and I was born into it. So on my dad's side of the family, for example, my two uncles and my father each had their own company. My dad and my uncle in cement finishing and construction, and my third uncle, he was working as a mechanic. On my mom's side, both my uncles, have very entrepreneurial. One of them has had his own company in interior design for over 40 years, if you can imagine. They're both in their 70s. They still work. My second uncle is actually made it up to vice president in a large engineering firm. So he's more of an intrapreneur, but still very much those qualities. And to be honest with you, if the women in my family who are of the generation of my mom, and also my grandmothers would have been of working age today, they would all be CEOs, honestly, because of their leadership abilities and their qualities. In fact, a funny story is my grandma on my dad's side used to knit socks. Like at 95, she got into this event and she was like knitting so many socks. I think she even sent a pair of socks to Pope John Paul II. I'm wondering to this day whether or not he wore those socks. Anyways, at 95, she was talking about, maybe I should get into business. Maybe I should start selling my socks, So that's what I'm saying. I think it's in my genes. And my earliest memory is that I was about maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I had a box filled with rocks, and I was going from door to door trying to sell them. I'm not even sure they were painted. I can't remember. Or maybe my sister painted them. I'm not sure. But I remember coming back home with some of the rocks still there, but also a bunch of change. And I thought that was the best thing ever. So that's why I'm saying I really feel that I was destined for it.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if it's in your bloodstream type of
Yeah.
thing, right? But I love the story about your grandmother at 95,
I
just
know.
to show you that it's never too late. You
No,
can start a business anytime, right?
that's right. That's right.
So then, do you believe? So how do you define success, and what is the key ingredients to your success? In other
Mhm.
words, how do you know you're successful in business?
Wow, success. Well, that I think the idea of success has evolved for me. So when I first left, I used to work in the federal government, and before that, I started off my career at it was called Coopers and Lybrand, became PricewaterhouseCoopers. Then I worked at the Royal Canadian Mint and at Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. So, for over 20 years, I worked in HR management, senior HR roles as a trusted advisor, and so I had more the corporate view of success. It's all about, how do you create um, greater revenues, how do you bring in more business, how do you serve your clients, which are, of course, those are all important things. But since starting my own business in 2011, what I found for me personally, uh, the most, I guess, or best definition of success is freedom. So freedom of how and who I get to spend time with, freedom to follow my passions, freedom to create, the work that I love, freedom to connect with the clients that I want to serve, freedom to make decisions, freedom of speech, even because, as you know, when you work in corporate world, you have to kind of toe the corporate line. So right now, I'm ultimately accountable. I could say whatever I like. Of course, there's consequences, but I make the decision. I don't have to, go check it with communications or PR or what, or different clear it with others in the organization. So I think that freedom of speech is very important to me. And next stop for me is exploring more and more financial freedom. So that's that's my next freedom that I would really love to get a sense of.
Yes, and it's amazing when you are your own boss type of thing. You can choose your project, or you can decide, oh, I'm going to set that one aside and then go to another one. And because I'm sure you have tried many things. I think you talked to me about many things you've tried, but you have
Mhm.
the freedom to, oh, this is not working. Let's move on to the next,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
fast, right?
And to me, one of the most important parts was when I decided to leave the corporate world, so to speak. I mean, still corporate, but not in the
Yeah.
sense of working for an employer. Is that I wanted to be able to choose how I spend my time with family, because I was working, 12, 14-hour days on a regular basis. Um, I, that's, I think, the freedom that I value the most is freedom to spend time with my family, both my son and my husband, as well as my mom, my sister, my brother, and extended family, because, um, that's one of my key values is family. And
Yeah.
I found that when I was working corporate, I wasn't able to make those kinds of decisions based on pressures. So yeah, so those are all things. And so if I'm to look at my life right now, where I'm at with my business, I, you know, I've have a lot of success in all the areas. Now I'm working on the financial freedom part. So that's next. And with the help of She Did It, and now the focus, because while I was writing a book, it's very difficult to do things like development and writing and things that require a lot of time, and at the same time generate that income. So now that's done, it's launched. I could focus on
The next project.
the next projects. Yes.
So do you believe there is a winning formula for becoming a successful entrepreneur? And what is yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to sound very familiar to you. Joanne is a passion test facilitator. I really believe in that formula, the passion
Mhm.
test formula: intention, attention, no tension.
Oh yeah.
Getting clear on your vision, um, paying attention, taking action. It's not enough to think of something. You actually have to consciously state it, and then you have to take those actions, and learning to manage whatever shows up, because we can't control We can't control the outcome, really. We can influence it a great deal by the actions we take and how clear we are in our intention. But then it's having that ability to deal with anything that shows up, and have that resilience, and also look for the opportunities, not just look at, failure or it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. It's like, okay, well, it didn't work out the way I wanted to. So what's the opportunity? And in addition to that, I do practice what I've written in the book about is the 3 C's of connection, which is compassion, courage, and competence. So, having compassion for people, that, thinking back to my why am I doing this work is because I want to help people have better lives at work, leaders and employees. And then having in addition to that, I don't only think about the leaders and their teams and the employees. I also think about the people at home waiting for them, their families, right? So compassion is a big driver for me. The other one is courage. So the courage, right? Courage is a huge one. And I've dealt with imposter syndrome. I still deal with it all the time. So courage doesn't mean that you don't have fears. It means you have fears and then you have to figure out a way to get through it and do it anyways, right?
Exactly.
Feel the fear and do it anyways, as Susan Jeffers would say. So courage is a big one. And also the courage to set boundaries and the courage to communicate what's important to us, the courage to step up. I had to learn to speak. I earn a living speaking now, but it wasn't always the case. I was very shy. So I had to find my voice. And then competence, growing our competencies constantly, being self-aware in terms of assessing, like, where am I at right now? Where do I want to be? What's that vision? And seeing, okay, well, what are my strengths and what are areas I need to grow?
Yes.
And making those very conscious decisions. And finally, just to sum it up, is practicing the 8 Ps of ignition. So how to ignite engagement, not only in others, because of course, even as a solopreneur, we have to have others believe in us and want to help us. I mean, that's what leadership is mobilizing people who have a shared vision to want to help you achieve that. So, and the first thing is, as I would have often said, is that leadership is from the inside out. So for me, the 8 Ps of ignition are profundity, going within, what's in there, what are my passions, getting that clarity, how do I want to show up? Then in it's passion, purpose, perseverance is a huge one. Perseverance is very important. Professionalism, play. Make sure to continue having fun. If it's not fun, you're not going to want to continue doing it, right? Exactly. And then there's philanthropy. So how do you give back? Sometimes you can with money, and sometimes you can with time, or sometimes it's just being able to offer help and support to another fellow entrepreneur who needs it. So working, for the good of humanity. And finally, and that's the piece that that's important, that if you get everything aligned, you realize prosperity. Now, what's important about prosperity is to know that money is an important part of it, but also recognition, also being able to celebrate with others in terms of our success. So those are kind of, it's a very long formula. Don't get it confused. Algebra is not my thing, but long formulas, long formulas can help. So there you go.
Yeah, it doesn't. Algebra is not my forte either. It's a great formula, and I think it starts with a dream, and the dream stays a dream if you don't do anything about it. And I think this is what I learned from you from the beginning, because my dream when we met for the first time was to be an entrepreneur, and I said, well, why me? Like me? And but with you brought this out. You brought this out with a passion test, and I said, just maybe I can do it, and to write it down. So I think that has a lot of power in writing things down.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we say why me or how me, and it's like, why not? And if it's your calling, and I'm so glad you did, because what a wonderful entrepreneur you are, and look at all the amazing work you're doing. So, it's important to, when we have fears and doubts, those are normal. It's to recognize that they're normal, name them, and then it's not, oh, okay, well, I'll listen to those fears. It's okay. Well, is it, you know, dangerous for me? No, it's not really a bear and it's not a tiger. It's just in my head. So, okay, what are the steps I need to take to get through that fear?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's just doing it. And because if you don't face your fears, or you just stay there, or you don't, challenge yourself out of that comfort zone, you're just gonna stay where you are. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
learning that every day. Yeah.
exactly. And, you know, ask ourselves, how comfortable is that comfort zone? How good do I feel if I know I want to achieve something and I want it really bad and I stay in my comfort zone? It's not so comfortable.
No,
You know,
no,
it's like the old pair of slippers that starts to get a hole in them, and then your toe sticking out and it's not comfortable anymore.
no.
Well, that's think of
Yeah.
that. If you're
There's a
not
practice.
right, right. So the comfort zone is not all that comfortable. When you really have a vision for something, you want to have great impact, and then you want to go for it. So because honestly, and as you know, you having done the passion test with your clients as well, and myself as well. So between the two of us, probably thousands of people. And what keeps coming up is that people either we want to be in service of others, you know, make a positive impact, or want to create beautiful things, or want to do positive things. Passions are positive things of how we want to show up in life. And so then the challenge becomes, okay, well, how can I make that happen? How do I go from here to there? And to remember, it's one decision, one step at a time, right? And then how do I create that safety net? How do I go out and either, you know, learn new skills? Like I took training for speaking practice, you know, and like you said, get out there and do it.
Mhm.
I took courses to learn how to write. So it takes investment too.
Yes.
It takes investment, it takes commitment. It's not always easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. However, it's very fulfilling once you achieve the things that you set out to do.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And so, what would you advise to the female entrepreneurs who are considering making the jump to becoming full-time entrepreneur? I think you alluded to it, but like, what
Yeah.
would be the thing for them to just do it?
Yeah. A couple of things. What advice would I give? So a lot of it is about mindset, right?
Mhm.
It's mindset. So keep working on the mindset. You know, just as I mentioned, leadership is from the inside out. Well, so is anything good, right? We have to start with our mindset. Figure out what are our strengths and what are our false beliefs and our blocks, and that becomes your learning plan. The learning plan is, you know, get rid of those false beliefs and those blocks that hold us back from achieving what it is that we want. Couple things is how we look at failure too, right? So that's part of mindset. Instead of,
Mhm.
you know, early on, like when you're a consultant, we bid on a lot of things, and you know, we don't get them all, of course, because it's a competitive market.
Yeah.
So at first I may have thought, oh, you know, I'm a failure, I didn't get this bid or whatever. Now it's like, next, I know there's going to be something else. Maybe this wasn't the right one. Start looking at things as rejection is protection. If things don't work out, well, it's probably a good thing, you know. And it's having that sense of humility that we don't always know everything.
Mhm.
So, and it's to trust. It's like, okay, well, it didn't work out like I planned, but maybe it'll work out better, or maybe there's a reason for it, right?
Exactly.
So those are some of the other lessons that are really important is to um, be clear on how we want to show up as a leader. Okay, so
Mhm.
this is something I had to learn it about 3 or 4 times before I got it. So as I mentioned earlier, I have a natural disposition, you know, for entrepreneurship or being a leader. So, but at first, the insecurities led me um, to maybe lose confidence in myself during certain periods, and um, I think this happens to a lot of women. So all of us who decide to go out, we have talents. That's why we're able to go off and you know, and I believe everybody has a talent. But anyways, the ones of us who want to express it in an entrepreneurial way, we go forward, and then others notice that, and they might want to become part of it. So my biggest lesson has been up until now is to start to put I guess, boundaries around how I interact with other entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
because oftentimes I get approached like, oh, let's partner,
Mhm.
right? And of course I'm like, yeah, of course let's partner,
Yeah,
partner.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but then with different experiences, I realized that what works best for me, and this is for me, not everybody's the same, right? What
Mhm,
works best for me is that I collaborate on projects,
mhm.
working together, not like in a marriage kind of partnership where you bring two businesses together, because I have such a clarity about the vision that I want to achieve, that if, let's say, I partner with somebody on it and they have a different vision, it's not going to work out.
Yes.
I've had that experience. So I think it's important to be clear about what does partnership mean to you, and what's the best type of partnership for you or collaboration, so that you can feel like you're in integrity and living your truth, and to have that reflection early on,
Mhm.
right? And not make decisions about around partnership based on fear, like I can't do it on my own, right? Because you
Mhm.
can always collaborate, you can always find people that want to support you, or even come work for, with you,
Yes.
as employees or as subcontractors. So there's many different ways to look at partnership and collaboration. And I think that we are, just as we are all unique, we need to figure out, okay, what does that mean for me, and how is it going to feel good for me?
Mhm.
Because if it doesn't, what happens is then over time resentment starts to build up, and then things come to a blow. I've seen it happen even with clients who, in startups, I see it often, right? And it's happened to me personally, where there might be co-founders, and then things aren't clear at first. It's just like a marriage, it's like the honeymoon period, and then at one point it's like, needs aren't being met. There has to be compromise, except it's not a marriage. So then the resentment starts to build, or there needs to be serious conversations, which are very uncomfortable to have and very necessary if you get to that point where you need to figure out, okay,
Yeah.
for me, what does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean when I show up as, am I CEO? Do I want to be a co-founder? Do I want to be a partner? All those things are really important. I'd say that's one of the most important lessons that I've learned.
Well, having clarity, I think, is very important in anything, because having clarity will be a great way to communicate, because clarity is there, and even about what you want as well. If you're not clear, then it gets
Mhm,
muddy, and it gets but collaborating is great, having that clear vision,
mhm.
knowing what you want, the clear vision, and being able to communicate it. And I think that's what's going to make you successful, and not be all over the place,
Right.
type of thing.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, it's always a great idea to, when at first, when you're new project, new job, or you get all excited, yay, this is exciting, but then you start avoiding the stuff that you need to do. And that's when you need communities like She Did It, or
Yeah.
people, or mentors and coaches, and that's where we're there for.
Exactly, exactly. And I think community and is very important. Is growing, building relationships,
Yeah.
from a place of integrity, and connecting with others. Certainly, that's been one of the most, I guess, the biggest blessing is all the amazing people that I've met in my journey. It's been a 10-year journey since I've
Mhm.
been an entrepreneur,
Wow.
or left to go out on my own. And as I approach 50 now, soon, next February, I look at and say, well, what are the things in addition to my family that I value the most? And that's the friendships I have, the wonderful friendships I've developed as a result of going out and doing my work with clients, with collaborators, with communities like She Did It. That's one of the biggest, I guess blessings. Yeah.
So, what do you think, or what do successful female entrepreneurs have in common, you think?
Yeah. So again, coming back to clarity,
Yes.
very important. Another one is grit. This is actually proven
Oh, I love it.
by in research, right? So there's the name of the author doesn't come to me right now, but who did a lot of studies on grit and perseverance, and that's the number one indicator of success in entrepreneurs. So clarity, grit, and perseverance to go and get what it is that you envision, to take the steps, to find our voice and use it. So I think that's really important, and to be of service.
Mm-hmm.
How do we be of service? So, I think we all have most people anyways, have a natural desire to want to be of service. So our job then is to figure out, well, what does that look like for me?
That's awesome. Yes. So how how do you develop your key partnerships when
Yeah.
you decided this, okay, I want to collaborate with this person or this company? How do you develop those partnerships?
Yeah, so from a practical sense, there's different types of collaboration. So I've worked as a consultant and a trainer, so that sometimes I'll work with a staffing firm or consulting firm as a subcontractor, and that's a great way for people who are just starting out. By the way,
Mhm.
because especially here in the region in Ottawa or anywhere where there's a heavy emphasis on procurement vehicles. When you're a solopreneur, it's expensive to prepare those large bids. And it's hard. I mean, both of us worked in consulting, so we
Yeah.
know. So if you're able to partner with, and they're called kind of strategic partnerships with the proper consulting firms and established organizations and be a subcontractor, that's a great way of doing it. So that's one aspect. The other one is now, these are the steps I want to take, is start setting up my own procurement vehicles, starting to look for opportunities that way. um, the more personal sense is showing up, right? Showing up in events, becoming part of communities, and then seizing the moment. I mean, when you click with someone, establish that connection. Make
Yeah.
sure you have a way of following up. Ask them if you can connect on LinkedIn, or even just send them a LinkedIn request. Exchange cards like in the old days before COVID. Right? Always important. Follow up. Make sure there's reciprocity, right? So
Mm.
just as it would be wonderful if they give your name as a referral, is if you know what they're doing,
Exactly.
give them a referral, give them business. Listen, get out there and listen. We need to. I think that's a really important part. Being able to listen at the same time as we find our own voice. We also need to listen and help others find their own voice, because that builds relationship, right? Is when you're supportive and you help others, you build those relationships. And always, so for me personally, when I go out networking, I don't see every person as a prospect.
Mhm.
I, I go out with a sense of curiosity, of wanting to know. I love learning about different people and their stories and what they do and what their passions are and all those things. And that's what I focus on. And then let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
They might end up being friends. I mean, I've met a lot of friends through networking, yourself included, and Kareen, and Aaron. I have tons of them. At the same time, I met clients, I've met collaborators, so rather than going out there seeing everyone as a prospect, I just go out there and see everybody as a human being that I want to get to meet. And when it clicks, then I make sure that we follow up. So
Yeah, and you were the connector with Kareen and me at this uh,
that's true. That's right.
because you were speaking, and I said, "Oh, I got to go see her speak." And then Kareen was there, and that you introduced me, and so that was awesome. And
Yeah.
so it's great. And then those relationship develops and all that. So that's kind of the fun stuff,
Yeah.
the of networking. But and I so agree with you that networking is not about going there and expecting anything. It's about learning about the others, finding out how can I be of service to the others, what is it about them, being curious, and that in itself will develop great relationships.
Yeah. And it's so enriching and interesting and
Oh
fun at the
yes,
same time. Yeah.
absolutely. So, Lisa, tell me, how did you get funded on your creative strategies?
Oh
Did
gosh.
you use the like the used to execute on minimal cash flow, or
Yeah.
like what the, I know that might
Yeah,
be.
you know what? I'm still figuring this part out, but so I'm basically self-funded. Uh, a lot of gymnastics in terms of that piece. Always, yes, like you said, always looking for opportunities and how can I do this in a way that's cost effective.
Yeah.
So certainly nowadays, I think there's no time that it was easier to be an entrepreneur in today because of all the technology that exists, and it's easy to get the word out. You know, I use social media a lot, also the networking, etc. So I fund myself through my work, and also, you know, I'm fortunate I have you know, partner in life, my husband. So together, you know, we're able to, you know, find somehow the what's necessary to be able to invest in the business with a trusting that, you know, we're going to get that return on investment. Because of course, writing a book was very expensive for me because I had to go out and learn it,
Mhm.
how to do it and all that stuff. But now through that, I've grown so much, so many skills, and certainly being able to now launch, I think is going to open up a lot of opportunities, which I had before, but now it just, you know, enhances it. And like I said earlier, I'm able to put my focus on it.
Yeah.
The other part is, like, for example, when I had to invest a certain amount in the book itself, I did a GoFundMe.
Mhm.
So I did a GoFundMe, and now it's changed. You're not able to kind of have uh, like, I mean, you were one of the people who supported me, so thank you again for that. But I was able to set, you know, if you gave a certain amount, then I was able to, you know, give you a book or whatnot.
Yeah.
Now you can't do that anymore. But you know what I found? I found that people would have done it anyway, because they believe in the mission. You know, people relate to the fact that they want to see workplaces get better. Almost every one of us has either suffered burnout or knows somebody and loves somebody who suffered burnout at the hands of poor leadership. So so if you have a mission, you know, you can go out there and certainly look at different funding strategies. Now, for me, it's a bit more difficult than, let's say, if somebody was developing software or somebody who's creating something a little bit more tangible. Whereas they can go make pitches for, you know, to angel investors and things
Mhm.
like that. It's a bit different when you're talking about leadership. It's not as tangible. It's more like the approach is the program, it's coaching, it's training. So that kind of is a bit more challenging from that perspective than if I was developing an app. Maybe I'll develop a leadership app. I don't know. That's next.
There
If I
you
get
go.
there, I'll go look for angel investors. But in the meantime, though, is becoming better educated in what's available,
Yep.
um, because there are programs for women, not as interesting as I thought initially. I mean, there was one, I'm not going to name the government organization, but basically they said, oh, yes, we help women, you know, we'll give you a loan. And like, I mean, the interest was pretty high, and you had, you know, to qualify for it, it was through all these hoops. And actually, they offered to give me coaching, that they would give me a loan so that I could take coaching on finance, how to manage my finances. I'm
Really?
like, no, I'm not going to take a $7,500 loan from you. Thank you, so that I can take
Thanks. No,
coaching
thank
from you. You
you.
know, so you have to also be careful. And again, so in terms, for me personally, this is the area I need to put the most focus on. And I know for a lot of women entrepreneurs, because we're so passionate about what we do, that we, you know, we sometimes forget about, you know, how do I do financial planning? How do I do forecasting?
Yeah.
And then going out and learning that. So I think that's really important to know. So far, long story short, I know that was a long answer, but I'm self-funded, and I did do a GoFundMe strategy, or GoFundMe drive when I needed a specific amount of money, and that went very well, actually. So I was happy and very grateful to the people who supported me that way.
No, that's great. And also, you know, you as a entrepreneur like this, we need to look at different income stream that we
Hmm.
bring in, and so we have to be creative, and then maybe automating some of them, and so there's a lot,
Absolutely.
and all that. It's all learning, but it's fun to learn all about
It
these stuff.
is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And like I said, you know, setting up like having a book as a passive income stream, and now developing all the programs that go around it. So doing evergreen training. So that's something I'm going to focus on next too, right? So
Awesome.
it's true. It is fun to try to get creative and try to figure out how to make it do it, rather than just the more traditional transaction sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Lisa, this has been awesome. I really, really enjoyed speaking with you. I know you, but I learned even more today, and that was like amazing. And you have some great projects going on, so I can't wait to continue following you. And and uh, and maybe we will partner in some stuff down the line.
Yeah, we can collaborate for sure. Always fun. And always a joy, Joanne. I liked you since the minute I met you, and I just love your light and how you go out and help support people to achieve, and be their very best. Same as with Kareen and the whole She Did It community.
Yes.
You guys are really special, so I'm very happy to be part of it. Thank you
Well,
so much for this opportunity.
well, likewise, you are very, you follow your heart, and that's awesome. So, well, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody that are here. And stay tuned for our next web series for next Wednesday. So every Wednesday, we're going to have great entrepreneurs like Lisa Anna Palmer. So stay tuned and we'll let you know. So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Bye.
you.